Right. All right, so we are going to get started. I know people will probably keep popping on for the next couple minutes, but that way we can respect your time and make sure that we are done by the expected time. Also, for those of you who have things up against this work. So again, good morning. Nice to see you all. Please feel free to use the chat today as a chance to talk to one another as well as us regarding your needs. I am Crystal Starr. I'm from the San Diego County Office of Ed and from our Cali County Office of Education Innovation Hub. And we are really excited to continue our community of practice journey and grow and learn together this year. So we wanted to give you a chance to just see kind of the new way we're going to organize this. You're going to get a little more detail about this later on today, but just so that you know, we are sort of thinking across 2 separate hours. In our first hour today, we will be looking at discussion topics, doing some history, nuts and bolts. You'll get a large chance to have some discussions in breakout rooms. Mark is here and he'll be talking to us about the Golden State Pathways, which is super exciting. And then we'll do some gots and needs to sort of close out our networking hour. And for those of you who want to stay on, we'll have an optional second hour where we're going to do a deeper dive into Green Ribbon and give people a chance to have some conversations and space around that topic. But to start, what we need to do is find out what are those things that are needs and topics of interest for you right at the moment. So there is both a bit.ly link here or a QR code. Either one is going to get you to a Google survey. This has a list of topics that were generated from last spring, things that people are interested in, want to make sure that they get more support with, have some sharing with, that sort of thing. And then there is also a space for an other, so that if you have another conversation that you want to have that's not listed there, you're more than welcome to list that. So what's going to happen is I would love for you all to take a moment, get that open. Amy put it in the chat also. Just quickly choose a topic, whatever pokes out to you is the most interesting, the most needy for you right now. And then we will gather that information and in a few minutes, that is how we will decide what our breakout rooms are going to be. Okay, so it really is going to be driven by your needs, your current interests, what you're currently working on. Right. Any concerns about getting in? All right. So as you all are doing that, then I'm going to give you another 30 seconds here, and then we are going to do some more information before we come back to this this survey and what you all decided you want to talk about today.
And for anyone who came in toward the tail end of that, I saw that we had some late joiners, and I don't know if you heard the introduction, but the link in the chat, I'll put it here again, is to a survey for the participants today to choose the discussion topics that we're going to have during this first hour. So you can go ahead and add yours as well. And while you're doing that, I will just start off with some of the history and background information. But to begin, we want to take a moment for a land acknowledgement. We are all living and working on land that is the unceded territory of tribal bands from throughout California. And so we always make space in our gatherings to acknowledge that history and also look for ways to uplift the current efforts of Indigenous communities in our regions. Think about how our county offices of education can partner with our Indigenous community and support their efforts to continue their traditional stewardship practices and recover from the impacts of the historical trauma and cultural erasure that has been a part of our history. So just wanted to highlight that September 22nd is California Native American Day. We in my region have a partner natural history museum that is leading a teacher institute that weekend, focused on connecting history lessons, history curriculum with Indigenous perspectives, and they're doing that workshop in partnership with our Native tribal band, which is super exciting. So I love to be able to support that work. So if you want to share in the chat any work that's exciting that's happening in your region with Indigenous groups or partnerships, or efforts your county office is making to reach out and build those partnerships, if you don't have them yet, please just share them in the chat, and acknowledge any wonderful partners you have from your Indigenous community. We work with the Amamutsun Tribal Band. And you can go to the next slide. We wanted to remind everybody of this community of practice's objectives. They haven't changed since the start, but we do have new people joining each year. So it's becoming an interesting mix in the group. So this community of practice was founded in order to give the opportunity for County Office of Education staff to share resources and innovative practices and build our capacity to be the backbone support for districts for environmental literacy in our regions and our counties. And that includes supporting access to regular and ongoing environmental and outdoor learning experience for all students, which in our role at county offices often means working a little removed from the students with the districts, the teachers, and community-based partners, and especially supporting the most vulnerable and marginalized communities. It means supporting development of district-wide plans that integrate environmental literacy and reach all students, all grade levels. And it means applying frameworks that integrate environmental literacy and sustainability into curriculum, campus, and community and culture, these three pillars that we work with in our environmental literacy work within Cali. And lastly, we're wanting to support building our capacity to infuse sustainability into our own core operations at our county offices of education. How can we walk the talk and be more sustainable organizations? So those are the objectives, trying to support all of us to grow in those areas and be able to accomplish progress. Next slide, please. A little bit of history. So just mapping of what's going on within the California Environmental Literacy Initiative's County Office of Education Innovation Hub. That's a mouthful when you say it all together. So Cali has innovation hubs with different key focuses, and the County Office of Education is one of the innovation hubs. And we started off with a community practice 3 years ago, and then so the innovation hub on the left, sorry, I'm doing it out of order from probably what you're looking on, but the innovation hub includes members and sometimes teams from the list of county offices you see there. And our focus is on really how can our county offices that are already engaging in this sphere help build capacity across the state for other county offices of education to do this work, so that ultimately all county offices are doing it. So that's what the Innovation Hub is about. And those are the current members. And we're always welcoming more when a county office decides to start really working in this area. So we're really excited to add some new folks this year from Solano and Mendocino. Summer and Maya, hi, we're here. And the fellowship is another program that started more recently. We're in our second year with that one. That is a space for county offices to really take action toward creating a plan that they're going to hold themselves accountable to advancing in their region. And so we have a structure that helps with that action planning and accountability. And the community of practice is often like the starting place for folks where we're reaching out to anyone who's interested in this work and wants to build capacity, and then they might move into the fellowship or the innovation hub over time. And the list here is just our current roster of community of practice participants. But when we look at all of these programs together over the past few years, our Innovation Hub has touched probably about 40 county offices of education across the state. So that we're excited to try to get to all 58 being, involved on a consistent basis in this work with us. Next slide, please. In year one of our community of practice, we had some big learning sessions that were a lot of like getting information on these topics, thinking about COEs in the system as leaders of systemic change, looking at how to support community-based partner networks, the curriculum and instruction pillar and professional learning around environmental literacy, thinking about that facilities pillar, thinking about where the funding can come from for these initiatives, and youth and family engagement. And then in year two, we had these topics identified by the previous year's community of practice. So again, we had sort of deeper dive learning sessions. And then we were starting to feel like it was still a lot more information being given to a group rather than the whole group being able to engage in teaching one another and sharing resources. And so in year three, we are shifting to a new model where we have these 1 hour networking meetings with the topics driven by the participants who are here. And then an optional second hour with a topic that's identified ahead of time where people can stay on if that's one they want to go deeper with. But we know that we also have some new folks joining, and so we wanted to have some sessions that were more professional learning focused. So in November, February, and May, there's one where we kind of flip that, and we'll have a first hour that's more going deep in learning and bringing in new resources for us all to keep growing our learning. And then hour two will be like application time to stay on if you want to. So that's how it's working this year. With this combination of new folks coming in, it may feel like, wait, I don't have that much to offer yet. I just joined. And so I'm just going to say, as a community, like, let's help one another. If someone's new, let them know what came before that you had learned in previous sessions. Let us know, oh, this person didn't like ever attend that session on whatever, and we'll reach out to them and give them the past recordings or the resources or whatever. Or if you have them at hand, feel free to do that. So let's just try to help everybody feel like wherever they're at is good and support everyone's learning. And these are the topics. And we'll send all this out later, but just looking ahead, you can be thinking like, oh, I might want to stay on hour two for sure for this topic. So we have mapped out topics, but during those optional like deeper dive times, if you want to have your own breakout room on a topic with people here, that's totally fine too. Like, yeah, we're here to be flexible for your needs. And then the professional learning sessions that we have identified the topics are here. And that's it for how things are working this year. Like I said, please give us your feedback so we can be responsive. And I will turn it back over to Crystal. Hopefully we're ready for,
Yep.
Yeah.
That was awesome. All right. So we are going to do our first discussion breakout based on your chosen topics this year. Very exciting. But I have to refresh or you won't be able to see them. There we go. So based on responses, this is what we saw rose to the top. And I do want to say, as Amity said, going into these rooms might be to share, but it also is to ask questions. And so there's no, you don't have to go into any of these as an expert. It is a space to go in and help fill your bucket and then share to fill other people's buckets. It also means that if you're in a room and you kind of have a couple questions there and then you want to pop over to another room, this is a free space. So the rooms will be open. Amy's made them, and when she opens them up, there'll be that space to join a room, which will show up usually on the bottom right of your screen. There is also a note catcher, which we will is in the chat right now. And so while you're in a room, if you can just kind of jot down things that are shared and talked about, and that'll give people a chance. Maybe you end up in a really great discussion, but you also wanted to hear something over an expanded learning. That'll give you all a chance to see those notes from one another and to come back and share that information as we go through. So we're going to open up the rooms. You'll have just under half an hour or so to chat with one another. You can stay in one room. You can move through multiple rooms, bring your questions, bring your ideas. And we hope that you have really fruitful conversations. And those rooms are open. Let us know if you need help getting in. We hope you had some really great conversations in your rooms. Please remember you do have that note catcher, so you can always come back to that or see what happened in other people's rooms. And we'll add on and continue and grow our conversations next month with the topics that all of you choose then. And we are going to turn it over to Mark to share about the Golden State Pathways Project.
Great. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. As you know, I think we have in CALE the Green Career Innovation Hub, and within that is this little working group we've started to help support counties and districts and schools as they prepare for taking advantage of this fantastic new funding from the state called the Golden State Pathways Project. So maybe next slide. It is really a historic opportunity. The Golden State Pathways is $500 million of new funding in the career space, the career education space from the state. And for the very first time, it is the California career folks have identified climate-related fields as a priority. So this is a huge, huge thing. Some of us have been like banging on the door with the CTE folks saying, look, the CTE plan that you just released doesn't really go nearly far enough, doesn't really acknowledge that climate is a state priority, that, environment and climate are hugely important for our students, but also as future leaders in this space. And so this is, this is really a huge opportunity. So I want to take just a minute to tell you a little bit more, if you can go to the next slide. Currently, the state has finally passed this in the summer budget, and the RFA is already out for county offices that want to become technical assistance centers. In fact, only a few more days for that, 5 more days for this application to be out. So they will be choosing one regional technical assistance center in each of the regions in the state, and of course, an overall lead technical assistance center. That's $25 million total out of that $500 million. And that funding will last for the 6 years of the program. And the next slide. The piece after this will be when the RFA is launched in January. The request for applications should come out mid-January 2024 for districts and LEAs to apply for planning grants and implementation grants, right? So again, this is not necessarily, you're not required to have a climate component, but climate is identified as a high priority area. And so we see it as a huge opportunity because we know already there are shortages in some green areas in the state, and we really want to empower all of our students to be able to lead and create and join in these areas. We don't want it just to be, this with a lot of the STEM fields already, that it's not, that opportunity isn't equitably distributed across the state. So we really feel like this is a good opportunity to also to help all of our students lead and to build synergies among programs you might already have, right? We know that some districts and some regions have very strong CTE programs already. Others will have maybe not much in CTE yet, but really fantastic environmental literacy initiatives that have been going on, which would make which would lead naturally to some very strong green career pathway opportunities. So we, our little working group really wants to support all of those things. And let me go to the next slide with some of the big opportunities, right? We think like, we want to work alongside with you as you help districts, think through these questions, like how might we create climate clear pathways that are demonstrably aligned to these high growth, high wage opportunities? And how can we coordinate these new Golden State funds with other CTE programs that we might have already or might bring in later? And then how can we connect our campus and district climate action plans with career pathway opportunities? A lot of what I heard already today, is fantastic environmental stuff, whether in the school day or in the extended program. There's a lot of really amazing things happening in all of our counties. And so how do we make these connections and really help students see themselves as in these roles? And then next slide. So again, just a brief overview is here. The RFA should come out mid-January is the current thinking. It would be a few weeks or a month for districts to apply. And then by, April or so, the districts and other LEAs would have those grants announced. So that's $475 million new dollars for districts to do either planning or implementation of these career pathways. And then the final slide is just that we wanted to hear from you on any ideas you have. If you want to get in touch there, I'm going to put right in the chat that Google form. It's slightly different link, but it's the same form. And we want to know also if you have ideas that you think other districts should know as they apply, or other counties should know, or if you are working on your county application and want to write in the working group as a partner, or some of our organizations as partners, we'd love to work with you. So definitely feel free to get in touch. I just don't want to, I don't want to take up a lot of your time now, but if there's time for a question or two, or feel free to use that email and get in touch with me.
Yeah, definitely time for questions. I see a hand up with Maya.
Okay, good.
So Mark, when you talk about climate careers, are you looking at, or is there any guidance about whether we're looking at careers to mitigate climate change, or are we looking at climate resilience?
Yeah, right. So I think beneficially, the legislation is ambiguous on that, which is good for us. And I think it's pretty wide open. The key for all these career pathways is that they lead to high growth, high wage, right? So they're living wage, high road careers, whatever the terminology you use, right? It's not just somebody to strap on some panels on your, on a roof for minimum wage. It could be mitigation, adaptation, transformation. There's a lot of room for district and county thoughtfulness, and then the key will be just to make your supporting arguments well, that you can see, that you can paint that picture of what that pathway will be and what it will lead to. Yeah.
Okay, so at the other question I had was about what's considered high wage, because I'm thinking about the fact that I basically work at the like apex point of the Blue Economy Initiative coming
Nice.
out of Noyo and working with the entire coastline of Northern
Wow.
California for trying to, you know, save what's left of the kelp forest,
Yes.
you know, build a vibrant blue economy that's sustainable, all these things. But, you know, that could look like, you know, marine biologists and those
Yep.
type of jobs that one might say are I wouldn't say anybody at Noyo Center is well paid, but they are well educated.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't sure. So is it more about the high skill and not necessary, or do you have to actually make the argument like these are the salaries and they are in white collar land?
No, that's a very good question. It's definitely the skill level is a big piece of it. And I think the salary thing, I'm sure there's like regional accommodations for, you know, for what is high wage, right? Very little in my area is high wage. And so I'm not, you know, this is definitely not anyway. So I think there's room for building your case. If you feel like you've got, it sounds like that all the other pieces are there in that story. And I feel like, you know, I feel like that is worth pursuing further. Yeah.
Okay.
And I know Vanessa has to jump off at 10, and so I want to give her a
Great.
chance to do her question. I'm also going to drop the Gots and Needs Jamboard in just in case other folks have to leave soon. So in the chat.
Thanks, Amity. I just got a text that my next meeting has been pushed back, so I have an extra
Oh, okay.
15.
Woohoo.
which is
Phew,
great.
little breather.
I'm so happy to hear about this. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm from San Francisco Unified,
Oh, great.
and our college and career department is huge now. It's like one of the largest departments in central office. However, this is not on
Yeah.
their radar right now. So I'm wondering, how can we seduce them into wanting to make this a priority?
Mhm.
And so maybe that'll come out. I just filled out your Google form for the like the resource book that you're developing right now. Well, right, Emily. I mean, yes, there's like money to be had, but I think I don't know. It's like as we all face in many conversations that we have throughout the day, there's just maybe there's a gap in their understanding
Yes.
of the impact. And so I'm wondering what sort of learning opportunities are you inviting people to who aren't already sold? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're absolutely right that that's a big need because this is not $500 million for climate careers. It's $500 million, including, and for the first time, prioritizing climate among a few other priorities. But so somebody could look at this and say, you know what, we're already doing IT, so let's do more IT, or we're already doing X, so let's do more X. So I do think that we need to make the case. We're happy as a group to come in to do presentations. We've been trying to get on to some of the big CTE conference calendars to do webinars and presentations / webinars, whatever. So happy to do that. I think it is in part telling the story about what some of these nascent careers are and why it's so important to make sure that the diverse students of California have those pathways, right? Because we know already we're a leader as a state in electrification in a lot of ways, and EVs and a bunch of other areas, and some really small niche areas that are also super exciting. But a lot of us could live 10 miles away from one of these places and not know what's happening inside there. That is so exciting and has so much potential for the economy, or would be such a fascinating job to have. So I think it is telling some of the stories of some of the early folks who are out here around the state doing amazing work. I think that's part of it. And of course, Amy's absolutely right. $500 million is not a bad carrot.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and everybody, we'll follow up, make sure everybody gets these slides that have Mark's contact info.
Great.
and the form that you can also use.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us and being available to provide, continued support as we look into this opportunity. It's great. And then I just wanted to move on to the closing for our first hour. And this I had not realized was right here. Oh my gosh, on our slides. Just to let everybody know that we're going to have a Cali meetup in person at the Green California Schools and Higher Education Summit. This is the one down in Pasadena in October. And so it's really great for districts. If you have districts to encourage to attend, there'll be other Rockstar districts there. And county office folks, please feel free to join. We want everyone who's doing this work to start trying to have this one on the radar as a place to move the work forward and meet groups that can support the work. And next slide, the Green Strides Tour we've mentioned is happening in the Bay Area region, Northern and Central California. So if you're nearby any of the locations, highly recommend stopping by one of these campuses that has been doing this work and see what it looks like in action and learn how they did it. And next steps, we're going to head into our optional second hour after a quick break for people. But before then, just wanted to get some thoughts and needs from folks about how this structure worked for you today, so we can think about any changes we might want to make for next time. Suggestions are, so helpful. So if you can just take a minute to add those, and then take a break, and we'll reconvene. When are we going to reconvene for our optional hour 2? Like 10 minutes.
Let's do 10:10, yeah.
At 10:10. And that we'll have like a super brief intro to back to Green Ribbon, and then have some breakout groups by different aspects of the Green Ribbon Award. And also the idea of like, maybe you're focusing on encouraging districts. How are you doing it? So there'll be more narrow topical groups to go deeper. And thank you for your feedback, and have a great break. And if you can't join us for the second hour, thank you for coming, and we'll see you next month. And otherwise, we'll see everyone who can stay back at 10:10.
Oh, sorry. Amy has to record. So I do want to go back to kind of quickly make sure that you are aware and kind of give you a little more information about the Green Strides Tour. You all see the screen now, the slides? Okay. And I wanted to make sure those of us who are in the Bay Area, especially, or Central Valley, these schools are fairly local. There's some that are, in San Francisco, and these are all national award winners. So just so you know, that's partly, it's the national tour actually that's happening. So it's kind of exciting to see a lot of these schools that are local to our Bay Area, and I'll be going. So hopefully some of you will be able to make it. And I'm here to talk to you about the Green Ribbon Awards and Green Ribbon program. So how many of you are familiar with the Green Ribbon Awards? You can just raise your hand or give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or sort of in between. I see that, yeah. I've been becoming more familiar with it. So the Green Ribbon Schools Award is based on the National Recognition Award. And so what happens is, for California, the award is based on these 3 pillars that are here on the slide. And those that apply for the California awards, if they do receive an award, there's different levels, right? So there's the bronze, silver, and gold. And then if you have the highest level of award, then you get recommended to the national award. And that's, I think, a Green Achiever, I believe that one's called. So as you see here, there's 3 different pillars that the Ribbon Award focuses on. The first one being reducing your environmental impacts, which is about energy use, reducing waste, alternative transportation, et cetera. So that's really a facilities focus. And from some of the conversations we've been having in our network, and just from other people, sometimes this is the most difficult one to get information on, because you need to get your facilities and maintenance folks to get you the data and the information for how, you know, what's happening in your district or your county office. So, and just so you know, most of your county office people, county offices can also apply for the Green Ribbon Award. In fact, Santa Cruz County has won one, right? And San Joaquin County has won one, as has San Mateo County. So, and I don't know about others, but that is a possibility to get an award at the county level. And anyway, I'm jumping around a little bit. So pillar 2 is about improving health and wellness of school students and staff. So that's really about, you know, a lot of us are adopting health and wellness standards, and some of us have wellness centers on our campuses. And it's also about physical health and healthy food and healthy eating. So that could be part of, if you're doing that at your school or your county office, that could be part. That's pillar 2. And then pillar 3 is pretty much probably what we're all already doing is the education part. So we're teaching a lot about environmental education, or in different content areas. We're doing STEM and mathematics and civics and things like that. And then of course, we've all just been talking a lot about green career pathways. So that's where pillar 3 focuses on. So this program has been proven to be really a transformative vehicle for action in a lot of schools and districts, in really focusing on environmental literacy and sustainability. And it also helps serve as a baseline assessment. So even if you're not, even if you don't get the award, it's really a good place to start to see where you're at and where your schools and where your, you know, either your county office or your schools or districts are at. So schools themselves, a school can get the award, a district can get the award, private schools can get the award, and also, like I said, county offices. And basically, it could help you with strategic planning. It could help you prioritize environmental literacy. And it is the only awards and recognition for environmental efforts in TK-12 schools, and community colleges are part of it too. And it's championed at both the federal and state level. And what you're seeing here is the what we're doing at Cali is we're trying to bring this to scale across the state. So to just give you some data on this, just as of 2023, as of this year, 3% of California school districts have participated in the Green Ribbon program. So that's only 37 out of how many schools do we have in the state? Part of that is, and this is something we've discussed, is that you start the application process can be a little daunting and intimidating. So you need to make sure you're bringing in the right partners. And that's what this, our group is talking about if you're wanting to join this Green Ribbon group. And just thinking through how the goal of our group that is doing this work, and you see the dates here of our meeting dates and such, is really to scale this campaign to increase that participation in the Green Ribbon to at least 15% by 2028. So we really would like more districts and more schools to apply for Green Ribbon. We did see, I think, a bump up this last year of a few more schools, but we'd like to see that even grow even more. So the links for this have been put in the chat, I believe. And I think what we want to do in the next part of this is, in our meeting today, is have you think through the Green Ribbon Award, maybe where, as you mentioned, some of you are not quite as familiar with it. So maybe get familiar with it. We'll give you the link for that. And thinking about what supports you might need to engage students or grade your districts and with this work. And obviously you're invited to join the Green Ribbon Working Group. And we also have a Green Ribbon Achievers Network, and that'll meet, I think that's the next slide. Let me see. Yes, our Green Ribbon Achievers Network. So if you have a district or you've applied before, maybe you didn't get the award, or you are wanting some more support and technical assistance, these networks, these meetings will be for those that have applied or are wanting to apply, and which the deadline for this year is the end of October. So this first meeting will be really, if you are applying or wanting to apply, jump into that meeting. And then the rest is just kind of support and learning from each other. That's why the Green Strides Tour is a great idea, to just learn from other schools who've done this, and then making sure that you have the support for doing this work. So what we're going to be doing in the next probably about 30 minutes or so is going into breakout rooms just to talk through these topics. So what we wanted to do is give you an opportunity, if you really want to focus on, let me go back to the pillars. If you want to focus on reducing environmental impacts for pillar 1, you can go in that breakout group. If you want to talk about health and wellness at school sites for staff and students, that's pillar 2. Pillar 3 is again about environmental education. And then the other 2 topics would be how you can engage districts in the Green Ribbon award process, and then other Green Ribbon campaign or something else that you might have questions about, like an other group. So we're going to give you the breakout group options, and I think those would be, I forgot how we did that. Let me look and see. They're already there. See, we have such a great team. So just pick the topic you're interested in. We are a small group too, so if you don't want to go into a breakout room, that's okay too. We could have a discussion here. But if you're really wanting to focus in on one of these topics, just go ahead and join one of those groups, and one of us will come and hang out with you if you're by yourself. I'll stop sharing too. Maya, you look purple. Oh, there she goes.
And I would imagine that they could tell that story in the application of what the impacts were of the old building, and now their new building is this way, and because it's the same school.
Yeah, because that's what I'm wondering about is like, can you kind of buy your way into the application in the sense of like, we just completely replaced our building. So now it's like way greener. It's
least
kind
for
of like
part of
all
it.
at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would work. Okay. All right. Because I might mention that to them, like, hey, you did it. So get the cred.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody make a building now that's not? I mean, in a way, it's almost like,
Oh, you could definitely make buildings that are not LEED certified.
I mean, I suppose I
The
just feel
new-
like
the
there's a
new-
lot of regulations around here.
The new
Yeah.
the new guidance though for the California, I forgot what they're called. You have to, I think any new school buildings have to be more green. I don't know if they necessarily have to be LEED certified, but they have to be follow, what is that? What are they called? The Division of Facilities and, the architecture folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm wondering is like,
Yeah.
are they gonna basically like push everybody that as you make a new building, you end
Yep.
up green ribbon certified?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Yeah.
for one pillar, you're a lot
Yeah,
closer.
I think
there you
that's a
go.
good
Yeah, for one
question.
building. Yeah. But I think they are requiring any new facilities have to have, some kind of that guidance, green guidance.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, and they're like
There we
building
go.
a wellness
Yeah.
center. So it's like,
And Amy just
Mhm.
put the California mandates in the chat for you. So
thank
you,
you. Oh,
Amy.
you're so good.
I know, so quick on the draw.
Yeah.
DSA, that's what it is, the Division of State Architects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So
Awesome.
we are just going to look at a couple more things together before we close out and send you on your way. And I know our conversation about Pillar 1 was super robust. I'm hoping that you felt that way also in the Pillar 3 space. All right. So a reminder that we do have our Cali Partner Portal. So if you aren't on it, or if you know your programs aren't on it, we do want everyone to share it out in our county offices. You have the option to become a microsite, which is really awesome and a great way to share out your programs with teachers and schools in your area. So talk to Amy about that if you need to add that to your to-do list. Our upcoming all the letters just popped into my head at once and didn't go in order. Our upcoming County Office of Ed Community of Practice meetings. So beyond today, you can see we do have one once a month. And as Amity shared earlier, our next one will be this sort of networking space. And then in November, we'll do more professional learning and kind of keep that cadence throughout. a reminder of what our topics are and that you'll be able to see these when they get posted on the Cali website. And we are just super appreciative that you're here, those of us in the hub, those that are in our fellowship, and we really want to continue to grow our reach to get to all of our county offices across the state so that all students have access to teachers who have access to support from county offices to help them bring environmental literacy along in their work. So thank you for being with us today. Go to the Cali site if there's anything you need. Let us know, reach out to us if there's anything you need, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Nice to meet you, Douglas, and great to see you, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Maya.
Bye.
See you